You're in the 06010. Fantasy Focus.
What's good, friends? Welcome into Fantasy Focus Football alongside Mike Clay and Field Yates. My name is Daniel Dopp. Super excited to be here. We are officially on to week 2. Waivers ran last night, which meant we've turned the page from week 1 to week 2. Mike, great to see you for the first time this week. Thank you for showing up to work.
Yeah, it's good to be here. I was telling you before the show, I'm a little sore here just from sitting in my chair the last 3 days, just working nonstop on everything,
grinding projections.
I was going to say the truth, Mike,
so
is
much. Like post week 1 is unbelievable with the amount of information that we get. It's like all new. It's all new information.
It's all new, Mike. And let's be honest, you're actually sore from putting the ESPN fantasy team on your back.
On your back.
Mike is an absolute tank. He's a workhorse. He is a machine. We are nothing without Mike Clay's efforts, and that is especially true early on in the season. There's no gotcha coming here, Mike. I promise.
I thought he maybe lost start of the week and had to say nice things about me. Like,
no,
this is punishment.
This is not the punishment.
Oh, okay.
No,
We'll get into who won start of the week later on this
Okay.
week. That's for sure. But what I will tell you is that I do not envy the job that you have at the beginning of the season. I can only imagine how tricky projections are as well, because you're trying to process, like we are trying to process, overreactions versus not overreactions.
Yeah.
You have to actually quantify them.
Yes.
So we're going to have a little bit more along the lines of overreactions on today's show, plus some bounce back candidates, which I think kind of tie into those overreactions. And rankings in week 2, they can be mousetraps, right?
Yes,
because
they
there are
can.
guys who ball out in week 1 and you're like, oh my God, we're going all in. Then there are guys who struggle in week 1 and you're like, that guy's a bum. Maybe I should have never drafted him in the first place. We're going to dive into a lot of the content that covers all of that. But seriously, Mike grinds like nobody else at this company to make the fantasy app go.
It's true.
You're welcome.
Good way to come back.
Great way to start the show.
I feel welcome, excited, and rejuvenated. My back feels great now.
Hey,
Good.
love that.
Good. Feeling loose, good. It could be the Advil. It could be Fields kind words. It's hard to say.
Before we get into the rankings reaction, I just want to talk really quickly. There was some breaking news last night. Pretty serious, actually. I'm sure that you guys saw this as well, but major theft happened in the NFL. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, no.
The Green Bay Packers had over $13 million stolen from them by Christian Watson and his agent. I do not understand. Why did you pay this guy $13 million?
All right, Lions.
Was I the only one that saw that? And I was like, what's going on here?
Why?
Why are you giving this guy that much money?
I was a little surprised by it. But the guy is talented. I mean, I think that's it. I mean, they're just investing in. We think this guy will stay healthy because he's the real deal. He's a good player.
It's a lot of money.
Not totally surprised. I'm not going to lie. I'll give you an example of a player that this past offseason signed for 1 year and $10 million at wide receiver. 2 of them, actually.
Good call.
Tutu Atwell and Diami Brown.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Would you say that either of those players is definitively better than Christian Watson?
No chance.
Ooh. No. Come on. It's not even close.
No. For as disappointing as Christian Watson has been for stretches of his career,
Clearly talented.
he also, he does have some real field stretching ability. He plays an important role in that offense. It's getting ahead of the curve. You can spread it out over 2 years as opposed to 1 for cap purposes.
Sure.
And it's also a hedge. Like if he comes back and he balls out and he has 8 touchdowns in the final 13 games of the season, Christian Watson would make more than $13 million. It's an interesting roll of the dice by the Packers, but they've made comparable rolls of the dice in recent years. One of which was, remember they declined Jordan Love's 5th-year option?
I do remember that.
Gave him a different restructured deal.
Yep.
That one clearly worked out. So it's a bet by Green Bay. based off their recent track record, I'm giving Goody, their GM, Brian Gutekunst, the benefit of the doubt. But man, I did not know where you're going with it.
Yeah,
I was like a local Stop and Shop, like robbed in Bristol or something.
That's just a big. When I saw that breaking news from Adam Schefter, I was like, that's just a lot of money for Christian
I
Watson.
thought you were going to talk about Tank Bigsby or something.
No.
I had no idea what you were doing there.
Well, let's dive into some rankings reaction here in week 2. Field, you already kind of, set the table for us. Week 2, there's still a lot of question marks. We're trying to figure out where we really believe on guys. Where's the fool's gold? Where's the real gold? So I'm going to start with you. We're each going to bring a couple of guys to the table. We're just talking rankings reaction, either positive or negative in either direction. Either direction. Who was someone that gave you a reaction while you were doing your rankings
Our great
this week?
producer, Christina, said to us just basically like, give me names of guys that made you feel something.
Yep.
She wasn't even declarative of like if they make you feel good, bad, something in between. A pinch of anxiety was associated with my ranking of Baker Mayfield.
Okay.
Baker's good. He's really good, but he threw for under 200 yards in week 1 against a Falcons defense that I think is an inferior total defense and an inferior pass rush to the defense he'll face this upcoming weekend, the Houston Texans. Now, Matthew Stafford, who I don't know about underrated. I feel like every time someone uses the word underrated or overrated, I'm like, no, I think everybody kind of talks about that guy about as much as he should. I do think the brilliance of Matthew Stafford could be appreciated a touch more because he was really, really impressive on Sunday. He also faced a lot of pressure. You know why? The Texans are the real deal in terms of rushing the quarterback. The Bucs not afraid to push the football down the field. Harder to do so against this defense. Again, under 200 passing yards. He had 3 passing touchdowns in week 1, did Baker Mayfield. So there was a lot of good to go along with the pedestrian passing numbers. I want to have Baker jammed inside my top 10 every single week. I am his quarterback 15 this week. So lower than not just the top 10, but I think lower than each of you guys and consensus.
I agree.
Yeah, so quarterback is one of those positions where when I do go, tweak everything and process week 1 results, and then I refresh everything, quarterback ends up kind of scrambled around. Like we have those core guys at the top, but as we've talked about in the offseason, once you get into the middle of the QB1s all the way to like almost QB20, maybe even a little further, when you get into like Michael Penix and Bryce Young and Aaron Rodgers had 4 touchdowns, then you think about the matchups in week 2, who they're playing. Those guys can go far in the rank.
Sure.
They bounce around a lot, which I'll get to with my guy here in a second. But Mayfield's one of those guys that fell kind of like the mid-range, like quarterback 14, 15. And you're like, man, we drafted him as like QB7 to be a starter. And we're talking about benching him. So there's a gigantic tier of streamable quarterbacks this year, and it's after like the first 5. Basically.
When we talk about this, because I have him as quarterback 12, I think Mike, you are close to or in line with
I'm
that.
at 11. Yeah,
11.
So,
Okay,
but I could go 17. It's close.
But just to be able to state the obvious, even though we have him ranked there, I'm not going to drop him to be able to go out and get a streaming quarterback. He would just be like, would you potentially bench him? Or would you still, if you drafted Baker Mayfield, even though we have him ranked lower, I probably am still going to start him rather than go out and use a roster spot on a second quarterback here in week 2. I just am going to lower my expectations.
I've got a roster where I have Baker. It's a 6-point passing touchdown league. So Baker, and there's some upside with yardage. So Baker fits pretty well in this league. But J.J. McCarthy's my backup quarterback. As of right now, I'm still going to play Baker, but like J.J. would be somebody that if you really believe what happened in the fourth quarter is a sign of an explosion that is forthcoming for J.J. McCarthy, you'd say, all right, J.J. But I think the most obvious added quarterback after week 1 was Daniel Jones. He draws the Broncos this week.
Yeah,
so to me, looking at my rankings, especially with the uncertainty surrounding Brock Purdy, there's not a quarterback who is normally at quarterback 15 who this week is at quarterback 7.
Yeah, and again, that kind of speaks to all of these options at quarterback because before I mentioned this, is anyone going to talk about Michael Penix?
Nope,
go for it. Yeah.
Same kind of thing, right? He was so impressive in week 1. I picked him up in a few leagues, but he goes to Minnesota this week. And I know they weren't great last week, but that's a really good defense.
They heated up in a hurry.
It's like, man, I don't want to start him either. But anyway, my guy, should I go?
Yeah, give me your reaction.
Mine is Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about a guy. What?
Sorry for even mentioning him.
Oh, no, it's okay. Daniel Jones, obviously super impressive in week 1 at the 2 rushing touchdowns. Threw one as well. We kind of saw that coming. We talked about him on FF Now in the pod last week as a streaming option in week 1 against Miami defense. But the question is, the Colts team, I think, quarterback aside, is very good. I'm not surprised that they won. That was a gigantic margin, so maybe not by that much, but I'm not surprised they won the game. He's a good team around him. So it's possible with his rushing ability, he could sustain fringe RB1 numbers. The question is, he's going in, he's playing Denver this week. They're playing the Broncos. It's a very tough matchup. They'll have the fewest fantasy points to the opposing quarterback in week 1. I know it was Cam Ward in his first NFL game, but they were outstanding last year against quarterbacks. And also, I don't want to get tricked by Daniel Jones again because we have seen this before. We've talked about this. Last year, 18-plus fantasy points in 4 games, averaged 8.5 points in the other 6. The year before, remember, in week 2, he had a 30-point game, and we were like, okay, the year before he was pretty good. Maybe it's still going to happen. He was under 9 points the next 4 games and got benched. Yeah. So we have seen this from Daniel Jones before. I'm still a little bit nervous once more pressure is on him. So against Denver this week, even if you added him, not a streamable option.
I feel the same way.
Bench option.
Yep. I think we all have him outside our top 20 at the quarterback spot.
Yep.
So
this is not the week.
That Denver defense.
It's not a
stone
joke.
cold nasty. I thought Cam Ward actually played really well in week 1, and he was let down by several pass catchers who just couldn't corral the football. There was a big play to Alec Ayomanor, who, by the way, I'm feeling good about him as a long shot after week 1.
Heck yeah.
25% target share. Could have been an even bigger day if the play the Titans didn't challenge. They had challenge. He got the elbow down, and they didn't challenge it, which has caused some controversy as Brian Callahan seemingly did not know the rule during the game, which is
it's a tough one.
Faux pas for head coach.
Yep.
Neither here nor there, but that Broncos defense was stifling for the most part against Tennessee. So who's your guy?
Well, I'm going to kind of piggyback off of Mike's Daniel Jones conversation because last week he was unbelievable, but it's because he played the Miami Dolphins. And this week, Drake May draws the Miami Dolphins. And this is one of the ones that was tough. Part of what I was trying to figure out is how high is too high for me with Drake May this week. He was quarterback 18 last week, right? But he threw the ball for 287 passing yards. He didn't have Stephon Diggs. He was very much on a snap count.
Yes,
he played half the snap, so he was limited. I expect Diggs to be more involved. I'm not sure he's going to be a full-time player right out the gate here in week 2, but I do think he will get more involved.
That number should just grow. Like by the middle of the season, you'd expect Stephon Diggs to play every snap.
Yep. I did expect more when they played the Raiders defense. I thought it was going to be a better situation, but I'm going to continue to lean into the idea that when someone plays the Miami Dolphins, until I see otherwise, I'm probably going to play people that play this Dolphins defense. And
so, a good strategy.
Yeah, I think everyone that is going up against Miami right now, until I see otherwise, I'm going to trust it. I have Drake May inside my top 10 even. I have him at quarterback 7.
Yeah, I've got him at quarterback 10. Mike's at 12. Here's the deal with Drake May, though, as far as like being a weekly fantasy starter, until we start to see more rushing ability. Rushing, period.
Yeah.
I have to go back and double check this, but I'm almost certain 0 design runs from Drake May in week 1. That's all we're asking for. We're asking for 3 a game. 3 a game could equal 20 yards. 20 yards equals 2 fantasy points. I think it breathes confidence into the player as well. Until we see consistent rushing from Drake May, because of the fact that this pass catching group is just not good, and he, to me, like at least in week 1, was far too inaccurate. Like, he's not going to be a weekly fantasy starter.
You don't think so?
I just don't think he's not nearly prolific enough as a passer.
He's just going to be one of these matchup-dependent streaming guys.
This is one of those matchups that I am willing to take a shot on if I had
Drake May. No, I agree. Like, this is until we have...
We need to see more from Drake May.
If they are playing... I'm just trying to think of a team that we consider kind of like... If they're playing the Washington Commanders, not a defense that we think is... elite against quarterbacks, but not a bad defense either. I would not be starting Drake May until we see from the Patriots that he is going to run the football. He threw the ball 46 times in week
46 times, only 4 carries. I would love to see more.
And I think the carries were all designed runs. Were
not
designed runs.
Yes.
So I need to see more of that.
Can I ask really quickly, it sounds like Storm Duck is going to be out. Do they even have any other cornerbacks on this Dolphins roster?
Jeez, yeah.
I mean, technically,
yes.
Jones, Rasul Douglas, Jason Marshall. That's who's going to be out there.
Thin.
You know what Storm Duck's real name is, by any chance?
Storm Duck, maybe?
Hurricane.
His real name is Storm Duck. Yeah.
Oh,
that's his name. His mother named him Storm. Yes, that is 100%.
I have a rule. I have a 38-year-old rule that I have been abiding by, which is I don't make fun of people's names. My name is Fields. A lot of flack for it as a kid, so I don't have much of a leg to stand on when it's like, that's a weird name. It's like, you're named after a large patch of grass. So, I tend to not throw stones in the name department.
Also, it's an awesome name. I love it.
Yeah.
It's my favorite name.
Storm
Duck. I'm making fun of it at all. It's an awesome name.
Storm Duck?
Yeah.
Great name. Yeah.
That is an elite name. That's a tier 1 name for sure. Came from The Bold and the Beautiful from a soap opera. That's where his mom was a big fan of it.
Oh, really?
And so there was a character
you
on
did
there.
Research on this.
Yeah, of course I did, guys.
You know the game Two Truths and a Lie?
Yeah.
Like if you were just playing a mini game of two truths and a lie, I would have been totally stumped. Like for all I know, his name is actually Jeremy, and his mom, like Storm, was like a nickname that his neighbor gave him at 5, and it just kind of stuck.
My favorite is Juju Smith-Schuster, whose name is John Smith.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I did not. That's the thing I did not realize. Well, we all just brought a quarterback to the table. Field, before you decide to give another player here, I just want to shout out our buddy Eric Moody is hanging out in chat. If you have any thoughts on the things we are talking about or any questions, make sure you hit up Eric Moody in our YouTube chat. Especially if you have a quarterback or a running back or a wide receiver that you guys have questions on, we're going to try to get to a mailbag at the end of the show. So, Field,
Sweet,
give us your next ranking reaction.
Yeah, Breece Hall, man. Ooh, boy. I'll say this. So there were 2 important things that happened on Sunday. One was surprising to me. One should not have been, but after last year, I'm not going to lie, it was a little bit surprising. One was the domination of the workload for Breece Hall, especially with Braylon Allen in the second half being a virtual non-factor. And for all the hype about Isaiah Davis, what do you have, 2 carries in week 1? 2.
Yep.
So Isaiah Davis, clearly cast aside, is like only going to be utilized when somebody needs a breather, basically. Braylon Allen playing a much smaller role than Breece Hall. So that part was surprising given some of the preseason rhetoric. But the part that was surprising, I'll admit, but it shouldn't be based off what we saw 2 years ago, Breece Hall looked awesome. He looked awesome. This guy is so talented. Oh, my God. There's a reason why he went like 34th overall a few years ago. Remember, he was the Jets' almost 4th first-round pick that year. They were like, we would have traded into the first to get him if we needed to. He is such a talent, man. Like, he is one of those guys that is going to – he could take over a game. That's how good of a talent. Breece Hall is super explosive, great on perimeter runs, obviously a huge factor in the passing game as well. So he has moved – right back up to RB17 for me. The reason why it's not higher for Breece Hall, I think, is pretty obvious. 2 things. One, you have a passing quarterback. That means that they're not a running quarterback. They're not going to throw the ball as frequently to running backs, too. And more importantly, and obviously, is that how many rushing touchdowns did Breece Hall have in week 1?
0.
How many did Justin Fields have?
2.
And Braylon Allen
had 1.
Yeah, so he's going to be potentially vultured from multiple different people in his own offense. So stoked about Breece Hall. I had minimal shares of Breece Hall other than keeper leagues. And one of those leagues is a league in which it's a salary league as well. And I made Breece, I extended him on a fairly robust deal like around this time last year when everything was looking up. It was kind of a get ahead of the curve like Christian Watson deal. And for the entire offseason, I was regretting it. I'm not sure that I am totally sold it was the best move now, but it feels a whole lot better now compared to where it was at this time a month ago.
And also, I'll add on this. He played 36 snaps. The other 2 running backs combined for 27. So it wasn't a massive gap. And there could have been a little bit of a hot hand element. What if Braylon Allen rips off a 40-yard run or something? They love this guy. I mean, that gap could certainly get closer.
Last thing.
Good start. But that was a bizarre game, though.
Yeah.
That was a bizarre game. Like that's the larger question is like, can the Jets offense keep up at this pace?
Yeah.
If you think no, they're going to come back to earth. Remember, who was the hottest offense in the NFL through 2 weeks last year?
New Orleans Saints.
Yeah. Saints.
Believe it or not, I am skeptical that Justin Fields will be like one of the 3 most efficient passers this NFL season.
Yeah.
But from Justin Fields' perspective alone, do you think that after what you saw with him utilizing his legs, he's going to go back up to being a potential top 12 quarterback for you until you see otherwise? Or are you still a little skeptical?
Like my thought with Justin was coming into the season is like Justin is going to have a month where he carries your team.
Yeah.
Then he's going to start to have some games where it's like, how did Justin Fields score 11 fantasy points? Oh, he only ran for 42 yards and he had 0 passing touchdowns, 0 rushing touchdowns, and 1 interception.
174 yards or something like that. Yeah,
exactly. So,
all right. Mike, what about you? Give us your next ranking reaction.
Next up for me is, I think it is.
You got so many names that you're bringing.
It is. It's so many here. So many. Positive vibes here on Devon Achane. I'm very high on him this week. I think I'm by consensus easily.
This is surprising to me.
I could have went.
Okay.
I almost feel like I could go as high as 2 here. I mean, he is.
As high as 2.
I think I could go super high. Lots of reasons here. Only 7 carries last week, but at 55 yards, so the efficiency was still fantastic last week. Caught a touchdown. Again, 4 targets, caught 3
garbage
touchdown.
time.
It was garbage time, but check this out, though.
Checking it out.
His 72% snap share was the 3rd highest of his career. 70% of the carries, and that was despite sitting out the final 9 plays of the game. When Tua was on the field, he played 89% of the snaps, 33 of 37. So he may have gotten a late touchdown in that game, but he also didn't play at the end of the game because it was the blowout loss. I feel like he's just picking up where he left off last year, and there was so little Ollie Gordon in this game. Jalen Wright's obviously not there. I mean, this week against the Patriots, he might play 90% of the snaps. And I would expect it to be a more competitive game after New England just lost at home to the Raiders. The Dolphins could legitimately bounce back this week. It could be a bounce back game. They could win, and then it's all an overreaction to what happened last week. I mean, I don't actually think it's an overreaction. There's a lot of problems there, but they can get back on track, and HN is...
Was this
I
a
feel really
game
good about
script
his
thing?
situation.
Like for this last game where you felt like he was out there so much because they're clearly in passing downs and Ollie Gordon is not their passing down back?
That was right out of the
contributed
gate,
some to
though.
it,
That was right out of the gate. He was playing. I mean, he played 33 out of 37 snaps. So when the game was when the game was competitive, no one else was even on the field. It was all him. And I don't know if that's going to change.
RB11 for me, RB7 for Daniel, RB4 for Mike.
Yeah.
High on him.
That is high, Michael.
Yeah, he was
kite.
one of the guys that popped out as super high in the.
Okay.
Is that the only positive vibe coming out of Miami right now?
Yes.
Is Devon Achane?
Yeah, I mean,
The weather's pretty good. The club's
Okay,
solid.
that's fair. Yeah.
I mean, they are going to run the offense through him. I mean, and that's what we expected coming into the season. But it was even more so. Like we thought maybe Ollie Gordon might get a chunk of the carries, and that was again. I know they didn't run it a lot, but that was not even close to the case. It was all HN all game.
I just want
It's
to.
all garbage, you know.
I know that we talked about Mike positively to begin the show.
Uh-oh.
I want to do it again.
Okay.
I like Mike's call of Tyreek Hill getting traded.
I do too.
Like that a lot.
Yep.
Yeah, I think
And I
it's
think it could happen
looking good.
Yep.
Might
And
happen soon.
It could be soon. I've got the Steelers circled. I've got the Chiefs monitored. The Broncos I'm not feeling quite as bullish on.
That was more of a fun landing spot in the offseason.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, it's not like they got much out of their other receivers. They barely used Marvin Mims again. Troy Franklin was running ahead of him.
40 attempts.
So maybe
for Bo, too.
I'm
Yeah.
not gonna put it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
And Bo Nix, he might be a topic for another day this week because he was not too spectacular in the
He
opener.
was
So
not
they might
spectacular.
need help.
Yeah, those 3 turnovers for Bo really, really hurt.
But bottom
anybody
line
that
is,
started them.
agreed. Yeah.
Nice call.
All right. I have another player that I was wondering to myself, how high is too high for this guy? And it's rookie Emeka Ibuka. Taking on the Texans this week. This is the first of 2 Monday Night Football games.
Monday night.
Found the end zone twice in week 1. That's not going to happen most weeks. Like, I am very aware that there was a big part of that, but he had more snaps and routes than old Mike Evans, which I think is positive in this offense. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud? I meant that to say in my head. But I really think a part of this thing for me is vibes coming out of training camp were super high.
Yeah.
They love Emeka Ibuka. And I think you saw, especially on that second touchdown, defenses are going to have more... They're going to spend more of their time thinking about superstar Mike Evans and making sure they bracket him than I think they do Emeka Ibuka. You disagree with that?
I'm not so sure on that one anymore.
You think that now, like, cat's out of the bag and, like, we've got to be careful with this young kid?
I think so. I really do. He was the star of training camp. We talked about him for a month straight. That's going to shift pretty quickly.
4 for 67 and 2 touchdowns on 6 targets. Mike Evans had 8 targets. So he had, a few more opportunities, absolutely, but they were both on the field a ton. They were clearly wide receiver 1 and
Loaded
2.
secondary. It's
Against
one of
the
the
Texans?
best secondaries you'll
Houston?
see also.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to this later this week, but Derek Stingley likely to shadow Mike Evans in this game. But you have
That's why I like
Lassiter
Emeka
on the other
Ibuka.
side. Yeah, Petrie in the slot.
Receivers you like against the Texans are the ones that catch a million screens, like Puka Nacua. Devontae Adams had 4 for 51 this past weekend. Like, if either or both of those Bucs receivers go for that this week, won't surprise me a bit.
Which one of these guys do you think would be a heavier screen guy? Would it be Mike Evans or would it be
Definitely
Emeka
Emeka Ibuka.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they have to get him the ball more, too,
They
because
do.
he did only have a 20% target share. He had the same number of targets and fewer air yards than Sterling
Sterling
Shepard.
Shepard,
Yeah,
yeah.
so
I didn't love all the Sterling Shepard usage. I'm pumped for him to be able to be back, and now he's one of the guys that we always perennially root for because you want to be able to see him do
actually,
well.
I have to talk to Joe Fortenbaugh because on FF Now, it was like, if they throw it a ton of times to Sterling Shepard, I'm coming after you.
They did. They threw it too much to Sterling Shepard.
It's his fault.
Yeah. All right, we're going to dive into. Oh no, you know what? I think you got one more.
I do. Yes.
Why don't you give us one more,
It's
Phil
going to take
Yates?
us into sort of our confidence for bounce back candidates.
Okay.
Before we get there, though, I did want to note on the heels of Daniel mentioning that we have 2 games on Monday Night Football. Around this time of the year, like the beginning of September, I've got a couch that's in front of the best TV in my house. It's like a little divot starts to form throughout the month of September because I'm spending so much time sitting there or laying down there. And I've already started to feel just a little bit, like a little divot. After Monday night, because I will fall asleep at some point during the second game. Like, I'm just announcing that the game kicks off at 10 p.m.
10 p.m.
Like,
First game starts at 7. Second game starts at
Yes.
10.
No rain delays this week, please.
Please. I know it's, oh my God, please. I will find my way back up before the end of the game, but there's a very decent chance that at some point in the second quarter, like all of a sudden I'm just, whoa, where'd you go there for 15 minutes? That divot though, if you people are out there who have a couch, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
That divot is just such an important part of your life during this time of the year. Like it's such an integral thing. 'Cause everybody has their spot. Nobody changes it up. Except for when your team is playing like booty and you start to like move to different parts.
I got to
of the
get up and
room.
walk around.
It's definitely my fault. I have to like, take the controller, change the channel, go back to the game. Like there are a lot of ways in which, of course, you can absolutely control the outcome of sports.
That divot becomes like an old friend during football season.
I'm telling you, man, it's like it is my favorite spot. My 3-year-old also loves it when she's doing whatever she's doing during the day. So thankfully she goes to bed before most night football games take place. But it is my divot for the next 4 months.
So is the divot your ranking reaction? How high is the divot ranked? That's the player.
The divot's number one. My last player is Nico Collins.
Oh,
Who I have as wide receiver 8 this week. So after week 1, in which Nico Collins has a total of 3 catches on 5 targets, a lot of people, myself included, are feeling very disappointed. A handful of Texans saw a handful of targets in this game. They were run heavy. They were also under siege. They were under siege by this Rams defensive front that has a case to be the best in the NFL, at least on the short list as best defensive front in the league. And by the way, the Texans' offensive line, as we talked about all offseason, is a major, major question mark.
Correct.
Both of those units lived up to expectation in week 1, for better in the Rams case, for worse in the Texans case. It's inexcusable, though. Brian Thomas Jr., I'm not going to say that we'll talk about him in a little bit, but with Nico, it's so clear that he is by far the best player you have on your offense. And on top of that, you had no running game in week 1.
Mm-hmm.
The offense must run through Nico Collins.
Yep.
It must, or else this team, who has legitimate division-winning title aspirations, they've won it in back-to-back seasons, and I think views itself as at least in the same zip code as Kansas City, Buffalo, Baltimore. They have no chance if Nico Collins does not dominate. None whatsoever. Zip, zero, notes, zilt, not. It doesn't matter.
It'll be better this week.
It'll be better, and so my confidence in Nico Collins is reflected in the fact that I have him as my 8th ranked wide receiver. So I'm going with an 8 for my confidence level of Nico Collins. But I think that really the most important question that people are asking going into this week is, of the extremes that took place last week, which are real and which are fake. So that brings us to our next segment, which is a confidence meter in bounce back candidates who struggled in week 1 going into week 2.
Yep.
So I'll kick things off. Nico was kind of the segue between
catalyst
these
to
two
get us
segments.
here,
But
yeah.
Here, you can go first. How many do you have? Do you have 4 or 3?
I got 4.
Okay, good. How many do you have, Mike? 0.
Mike has 0.
Mike
Mike has a
is
separate
mine.
segment.
Mike is
saving mine for
grading
later.
Yes,
Yeah,
but no,
so-
you're sort of grading. Yeah.
All right, so we're going to
rip
quick through
through.
this
Here we
one. My first one is going to be Joe Burrow.
Okay.
Joe Burrow was not good in week 1, only 23 pass attempts against the Browns. I'm expecting a much better passing attack at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And
How
since
many
he
yards do they have of offense? Sorry, that was bad.
That's a great question. I don't know how many yards of offense.
131.
That's disgusting.
How is that possible?
That's disgusting. With Chase Brown and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Joe Burrow, that's not possible. I know Cincy is known as being slow starters. I'm not panicking at all. My confidence meter on Joe Burrow is still a 10.
Okay, a 10. Yep. Mine is Brian Thomas Jr. I have my confidence level. He's wide receiver 9 for me, which implies a very high level of confidence. The big question mark that has not yet been answered, in fairness, it's a bit of a small sample size, is the rapport he has or perhaps lacks with Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Is it real? Is it not? We will see. The numbers, as we discussed on yesterday's show, paint a less than positive picture, but we shall see. The other reason why I think, the reason why my confidence is lower in Brian Thomas Jr. by a little bit than Nico Collins is, if you told us that the passing offense just runs through Travis Hunter now, you'd be like, oh, okay, the guy who went number 2 overall, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or who had 15 receiving touchdowns and won the Heisman Trophy last year. Or they can actually run the football, which Houston cannot do. So my confidence level is a 7, but I started off with a confidence level of a 5.
Yeah. I need him not to just be a field stretcher and have Travis Hunter take over as the number 1 in that offense.
Or we need Mac Jones to go back.
Yeah,
and
a
throw him
return of the
football.
Mac. How about we get some of that?
I
We
suggest,
might see him this week, actually.
Yeah, we will. That's right.
All right. My next one is Jamar Chase. This follows right along with Joe Burrow. All the things that I said about Joe Burrow, I feel about Jamar Chase. He's the
10.
best wide receiver in the game. My confidence meter is a 10.
Literally,
But we just started with Nico Collins, Brian Thomas Jr., and Jamar Chase, 3 of the best wide receivers in the NFL. They're all top 10 for us. and they just were so bad in week one.
Should I do AJ Brown next? Or?
Right? Honestly, it feels like. Anyways, all right, you go to the next one, Phil.
Next one for me is Isaiah Pacheco, who is now outside my top 30 for running backs.
Yeah.
My confidence level is a 3. I believe the Chiefs should be running him more.
3.
But he played 51% of the snaps in week 1. We saw too much of Kareem Hunt, candidly. 5 carries for Isaiah Pacheco. Now, they were playing from behind for a lot of that game. That does contribute to it. But Pacheco, I kept thinking, like, maybe this is just the boring, like, going to have 15 carries a game guy. After week 1, I'm feeling far less confident in that.
Yeah, and the 7th-round rookie, Brashard Smith, was playing early in that game, too.
Yeah.
Didn't end up with many snaps, but he was involved as well. So they haven't figured out what they want to do there. Pacheco did not really move the needle, so that's a tough one. Agreed.
Yeah, did not love that. Confidence level, you said, is a 3 on Pacheco.
3, yes, 3.
That's fair.
Well, that's.
Yeah, they seem like a team that could be in the running back market.
Yep.
All?
All right, my next one is going to be someone that Mike
not.
spoiled for the entire audience, but it's AJ Brown.
What?
This is the devil you dance with, though, when you roster AJ Brown. He's not necessarily boom bust like some of these other wide receivers, but he is going to have some situations on the lowest passing, or one of the lowest passing offenses in the NFL, where he just has a dud week. I think that was week 1. I think he gets back on track. Still not concerned. My confidence meter is a 9 for AJ
We
Brown.
talked about this last week. Dallas ran more zone than anyone in the NFL last season. That was clearly strategic this week. They play the Chiefs. Trent McDuffie shadowed him in the Super Bowl. I would expect the same deployment here. Brown scored in that game. Also, the Chiefs allowed the most fantasy points to receivers in week 1 playing the Chargers. So I think he bounces back.
Did you see that the Cowboys were the only team to not run a single snap of man coverage in week 1?
Yeah, our data was slightly different than that, but it's close enough.
Close enough.
enough.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
our game charters. But yeah, I think there was a little bit of mixed coverage. I remember them talking about that in the broadcast as well. But nonetheless, yes.
Next up for me is Tyreek Hill, who we talked about earlier. Maybe he would be a trade candidate. My confidence is a 4. I have him as wide receiver 19.
I'm way lower.
Yeah, you are. So tell me through it.
Yeah,
I don't think Christian Gonzalez will play. That's not like a factor for me.
Yeah, I'm just worried. I just moved the offense down, and the
Except for
position.
Devon Achane.
See, except for Achane. But the problem is once you get into that range where you start at like 18 all the way down to like 40. There's a lot of similar, and there was guys I just couldn't justify starting, starting him over. Right, even guys like Roma Dunze, Travis Hunter, Judy Sutton. I mean Pearsall, all those guys. I'm like, if I'm making that call, setting my lineup, I'm going to go that direction.
Yeah.
I know what his ceiling is, and I do think they'll be a little better. Also, if Christian Gonzalez returns this week, which is iffy,
I don't think
he'll shadow Tyreek Hill.
Hasn't practiced in over a month. It seems unlikely
Yeah.
he'd come back to practice and play that same week.
Tough, yeah.
Also, here's the only thing I'll say about Tyreek Hill. He looked good in week 1. Like, it's not like Tyreek Hill. There are some players that I do have question marks. Like, we could have a long conversation about Cooper Kupp, and like maybe it's just on to a new phase.
Yeah,
right? Maybe. Early, but maybe. Tyreek Hill looked his usual explosive self. The problem was he also was explosive on the sidelines when he yelled at his head coach, which makes me think that like this could be a serious house of cards.
That's part of the analysis here too. It's
Confidence
like,
is 4.
It's like almost like Russell Wilson. Would you ever stream him knowing that he could get benched at any time?
No,
even
of
if
course
the
not.
matchup's good.
No way.
Kind of thing.
Highest ranking for Tyreek Hill at ESPN Fantasy is wide receiver 16. Lowest is wide receiver 31. So there's a big gap between
Mikey.
where we're all looking at it. My last one, I'm just going to stick with this Bengals theme that I've been running with. It's got to be T. Higgins. This entire offense was awful. T. Higgins, all the same things that I said about Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, I feel, but to a slightly lesser extent.
Okay.
But I knew that coming into draft season. There's a reason why T. Higgins wasn't being drafted as a top 10 tight end. I think you said that earlier this year.
Yes.
Or top 10 wide receiver, sorry.
Not a top 10 tight end either.
No,
For the
honestly, he
sake of
probably would be a
accuracy.
top 10 tight end if he was a tight end right now.
he would,
But
yeah.
he's got the same boom bust kind of capabilities that you see from A.J. Brown, but I don't think that he's going to have quite as big of a ceiling because he's the wide receiver 2 in that offense. But not a lot has changed. It's just other than a bad week 1, my confidence meter on him is still an 8.
By the way, 6 snaps for Travis Hunter on defense last week, all in the perimeter. So he'll see a little Chase and Higgins perhaps in this game.
maybe.
So that'd be fun to watch one-on-one.
Yeah.
Terry McLaurin's my last one here. My confidence level is a 6 in McLaurin. Deebo Samuel just looked good as well. McLaurin has had a little bit of this. Like for a player who is so good and was rewarded with the contract this offseason, we also know, like, Terry McLaurin's not this super high volume wide receiver.
Nope.
Between 77 and I believe 84 catches in each of the past 5 seasons. This isn't a 100 catch per season guy. And do the math, by the way. 17 games, 6 catches is just over 100 catches per season.
Yep.
So he's like a 4.5 to 5 catch per game kind of guy. He had just 2 in week 1. Where he really flipped the switch last year was all of the touchdowns. He had 13 after being under 10 in every season prior to that. But I'm a little nervous because the matchup is daunting, but Jaden Daniels is just that good. So he's still wide receiver 20 for me.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. That's a Thursday night football game this
It
week.
is,
Not
yeah.
Commanders
up
and
in
Packers.
Lambeau. Yeah. Packers open with 2 games at home.
Yeah, lucky Green Bay, as if they needed it. All right. That's going to move us on to Mike Clay's surprise
We have no
segment.
idea what's coming right now.
Yeah, it's all it says on my sheet.
So, 5 annoying things from week 1. You're seeing it on the screen.
Oh, nice.
I called this cool.
Cool. Okay, all right. Love that.
You ever
Little
done,
community.
Mike.
You ever seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Yeah.
Shout out Jake Peralta.
Oh, I thought that was from, I guess I assumed that was different. I thought that was from Community.
No.
Cool.
That's right.
Cool.
It's Jake Peralta. That's
Okay.
his
All
line.
right, got it.
He says it all the time. And it's when you're just like, something bad happened and you're just trying to like keep your head up. And there was obviously week 1, this happens a lot where we're like, what? Like, what are they doing? What are they doing? Are they really using that guy? And there's like a perfect place to start this in that case, which is Kenneth Gainwell.
Yeah.
You
I know.
serious?
He's one of the guys that was on my list.
You serious? Kenneth Gainwell? That was
On
me.
your list, you had
after-
no idea what's coming.
He was one of my ranking reactions players
Oh,
that like didn't
yeah.
make the cut.
I was going to say, I was like, are you guys in cahoots right now?
No. But we submitted a bunch of names for our ranking reactions, and that was
Kenny
just a big
Gainwell,
one.
Kenneth Gainwell. Either way, mad at people named Kenneth right now. And there's a little foreshadowing here. So I couldn't believe it. As someone who was high on Jalen Warren, just watching Kenny Gainwell get all those snaps and touches early in that game was extremely frustrating. 28 snaps in the game for Gainwell, 7 carries, 4 targets. Warren, 11 carries, 2 targets. Gainwell played 3 more snaps than Warren, who did catch a touchdown, and that bailed you out. But
Okay.
that was rough.
I'm here to maybe be the voice of reason to help you out, which is normally your job to all of us.
Yeah,
You are
that's
the-
your job today. Okay.
Well, it's rarely my job, but I'll try one time. I think it's actually an indication that the Steelers really want Jalen Warren to be their lead back, and that Kenneth Gainwell is the change of pace back when you're playing in high-scoring, fast-paced, play-from-behind games, which was the case for the Pittsburgh Steelers this past week. Very much to my surprise. I spent much of the past 2 months on various shows talking about how this is a championship-level defense, and to me, an offense with a very obvious ceiling, one that is not good enough to beat Kansas City, Baltimore, Buffalo in January when it matters the most. And it was the exact opposite in week 1 until like the last play of the game when they made a huge stop to prevent the Jets from winning. So I'm going to go with this actually is a good thing because it means that Jalen Warren is more likely on games or in games in which they're not, trailing by 7 to 10 points to carry the rock 15 to 18 times a game.
Maybe. I thought maybe it was an indication that they want Caleb Johnson to take this Kenneth Gainwell role, and at some point he'll be in a committee with Warren. I think the reason I was optimistic is that Gainwell had 23 yards and 10 touches, and Warren has a history of being an effective rusher. So
I would just say this. I mean, first of all, I'm right. But second of all, I want to congratulate each of you for having more total yards in week 1 than Caleb Johnson.
Yeah,
Dude.
thank you. I appreciate
Seriously.
that. Worked hard.
-2, yeah.
Yeah, not a good start, but are not shocked that he didn't play.
Inauspicious. Yeah.
Can I ask you guys, because there's a lot of people that drafted Caleb Johnson probably higher than what they wish they had done at this point.
Can he be dropped?
But if you used this value of a draft pick because you thought Caleb Johnson at some point is going to be there, I don't think you're at the I can drop him yet. I think you still have to ride the wagon just a little bit.
Mike
Clay's confused.
There are 2 things here I'll say, Daniel, is that, okay, so if you have Xavier Worthy and who else is a notable injury from week 1? Brock Purdy and George Kittle. If you have 2 of those 3 guys, you probably do need to make a roster move.
Of course.
Caleb Johnson is droppable to me. But it's such a bad waiver wire week this week.
You're right, it is.
That in 10-team leagues, there were a lot of 10-team leagues that I was just like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm just going to, maybe I'll stream my defense. That's it.
Yeah, pick up the Rams. Yeah,
That's about
exactly.
it. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that look, there's a laundry list of these guys. That's why we mentioned so many of them, but he's an end of roster stash because I think at some point you took this guy in the 3rd round. The goal is for him to replace Kenneth Gainwell in this offense at some point, I would imagine. You didn't bring Gainwell in to be featured to this extent. So
You
it should be
didn't think
Warren
so,
and Caleb
yeah.
Johnson at some point.
Yeah.
All right, next one for me, again, another Kenneth Walker.
Yeah.
Infuriating.
Ooh, I don't know about yes, there are others who do
Again,
that, yeah.
we did talk about this. We did say there's a chance this is a committee or Charbonnet's even ahead early in the season because Walker has missed so much time. But 10 carries, 3 targets, and 20 snaps. Charbonnet, 12 carries, was not targeted, but outsnapped him 29-20. Also
And
ran
scored
one
the
more
touchdown.
pass route
Yeah.
than Ken Walker, despite the fact that Walker had more targets. If you're thinking, well, Walker probably played well, as he often does, he'll take the job back. He did not. He had 24 yards on 13 touches in the game. Charbonnet 47 yards in the touchdown, 12 touches. They play the Steelers this week. I know they struggled last week.
Don't
but
expect that to be the
I would
case
expect
every
them to be
week.
better going forward.
Yeah.
Guys, I have Walker ranked 32nd, Charbonnet 36 this week. I don't want to start either one for now.
Yep. We talked about this on Monday that like this is the worst spot for a backfield to be in. Two guys playing enough to cannibalize the value of each other, but neither one of them having any fantasy value.
Nope.
Yeah,
16 team leagues,
They got to be
maybe.
better.
Yeah.
If you want to be Gibbs and Montgomery, you have to be better offense, and they're not there yet.
I was surprised that Charbonnet outsnapped Ken Walker in week 1, and then
I think
Walker.
it was 30-21 for the snaps. Right?
Yeah, it was actually more substantial than I thought it was going to be. But Ken Walker clearly still the pass catching guy,
I've
right?
got it. Well,
Even in routes. Walker had more
Were they?
targets. Yeah.
Okay, and Charbonnet's the guy that got the goal line carries. So
Kenneth Walker III to the Chiefs for a 5th-round pick. Who says no?
Ooh,
Not me.
I like it.
the Denver Broncos, the Los Angeles Chargers.
I love it. That's a good call. I like that one a lot.
I'm
Final
down.
year of his contract.
They should trade for maybe the Chiefs will just panic and trade for Tyreek and Ken Walker. And just
You know what you need? No, for this to happen, what we need, I'm sorry, Chiefs fan, I don't make this is going to come across like I'm rooting for them to not win. I'm simply speaking about how we make a Kenneth Walker III to a much better destination come to life.
Yeah.
The Chiefs lose this weekend against Mike's Eagles, 0-2. They play the Giants next weekend. They're probably going to take care of business there.
Yeah.
Then the Ravens in week 4.
So if they're 1-3,
1-3,
that's the time.
And if the Chargers start 3-1, or the Broncos start 3-1, and all of a sudden they're 2 games back in the division, and they're saying we got to find our way into the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's how a deal like this takes place. The Chiefs do like one of these a year, right? DeAndre Hopkins has taken place in the past. I'm forgetting others, but yes, the Chiefs have taken swings on guys, so wouldn't surprise me. All right, what do you got?
All right, next one for me is go away, Ramondre Stevenson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Go away.
Speak it into existence.
We've had enough of this. 45 snaps, 21 routes, 7 carries, led the running back room in all of those categories. Henderson only 23 snaps, 17 routes. So he was out-routed by Ramondre Stevenson, which is not great. Had 5 carries. Now, did have a slight edge in targets, but remember, they threw the ball a bazillion times in this game, which is not something we could count on going
I think
forward.
it was 5 screen passes for Trayvon Henderson.
So, which keep that going. We did expect
That's-
him to be
that's a
involved in the pass.
positive indicator.
That is a positive, and that's why I still have him ranked slightly ahead of Stevenson. Also, he outplayed him. He had 51 yards on his 11 touches, just 27 on 9 touches for Ramondre Stevenson. And if you want a sliver of hope to plug him in your flex, maybe in a 12-team league, they're playing Miami this week. And again, we expect that defense to continue to struggle. And if he can get a long play in a screen or something like that, it will be good. But nonetheless, Ramondre, we expected him to have a role, but this was a lot. And it's definitely a
Way too
short-term
much.
concern.
This sort of copy and paste my analysis from the Texans earlier with
Pacheco,
Nico Collins.
Greenwood.
It's
Okay.
like the Patriots are not good on offense. Maybe they'll get to become an average offense. It's not going to happen if Trayvon Henderson is ceding 56 to 60% of the snaps to Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah.
Like, what about his performance on Sunday made you think like, ooh, yeah, like that guy deserves more opportunities? He looks slow, no explosion, not powerful. Nothing about what he did on Sunday makes you think this guy should be playing a whole lot more than the rookie who, albeit in a small sample size, showed like some elusiveness. Some.
I realize it's not the same situation, but I feel like what you just said is the same thing that we were just talking about with the Chiefs. Like, why is Kareem Hunt playing so much? Why is Ramondre Stevenson playing so much? Like,
Yeah.
we'd rather have it be Pacheco and Trayvon Henderson.
I would just say that I think Henderson right now offers way more upside than
100%.
Pacheco does.
He does.
No doubt.
Like, because I think the skill set is just a different level. Like Pacheco, I'm just concerned. Maybe that leg injury is like the kind that can just really hamper you for quite some time.
Yeah.
More than just a season.
If I'm going out and checking the trade block, I'm not looking for Isaiah Pacheco.
No,
I am
of
looking
course
for
not.
Trayvon Henderson,
Yes.
RJ Harvey, Omarion Hampton, guys like that.
My favorite stat from the Patriots game was Pop Douglas finishing with 5 targets, 2 catches, 1 touchdown for -2 yards. Anytime you get -2 yards
amazing.
and still find a way to get a touchdown,
That
it's
is
like
amazing.
That actually checks out though too. Yeah.
so. That was a fun one.
All right,
All right.
next
Next one, Mike Clay.
Okay, now you're good, Quentin Johnson.
Yeah,
Cool.
right?
Awesome, perfect timing, nailed it. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's kill the value of Ladd McConkey. We love this. 24.9 fantasy points was the second highest of his career. The highest was Week 18 last season. So it's been his last 2 regular season games. Although then he went into the playoff game last year and had 0 catches on 5 targets. So this is typical of Quentin Johnson. 7 targets. He was behind Allen and Ladd in that category, so that's good. But He played 50 snaps, which is 12
85%
more
of the snaps.
than Keenan Allen. Also, his target share in this game, I thought this was interesting, 21%. That was the exact target share he had last season, scored 8 touchdowns, was a top 40 fantasy wide receiver. So I got a little bit of him on waivers, maybe like a 12-team league flex option.
Yeah.
But I think Ladd, obviously, clearly the top fantasy option here. I think Keenan Allen, a little bit of an edge on Johnson. I think he's going to soak up enough targets to be more consistent and the better fantasy option. But it is possible that they could support 3 guys. I think it's possible, at least in 12-team leagues where you start 3 receivers in a flex. I think Johnson can hang in the flex mix.
I'm happy for the player. No doubt about that.
Yeah.
I'm dubious. I think this is going to be this is banana in the tailpipe written all over it. Like, hey, this upcoming weekend, he has 2 catches for 15 yards. And you're like, what? Now, I could be way wrong because here are the parts that I do like. Justin Herbert is that dude. Justin Herbert is ridiculous. On top of that, you guys are, but for the audience that doesn't know as much about pass rate over expected, every down and distance is measured or quantified as are you likelier to run or throw the football? The Chargers had the highest pass rate over expectation in week 1. A trait, by the way, or a trend that goes back to the second half of last season. For all the talk about the Chargers being a ground and pound team with Greg Roman as their coordinator, not so fast, my friends. This is a team that I think is a Justin Herbert-centric offense. That means great things for the passing offense. Might mean a little bit of a downgrade for Omar and Hampton, but great things for the passing offense.
Yeah, and we talked about this last year because they were the 10th pass-heaviest offense in the NFL, game script adjusted, same thing, pass rate over expectations. So we shouldn't be totally shocked. However, I think they kind of tipped their hand in inactives last week that they were just going to come out and chuck the ball a bazillion times. They only had 2 tight ends active, which is extremely rare in the NFL. Yeah. And then they came out just flinging it around. So I'm kind of curious to see if Oronda Gadsden's active this week and then they balance it out a little bit and run the ball a little bit more. Well, nonetheless, Tucker Fisk, whatever, another tight end. So
they have Scott.
Those are 2 huge tight end names. Wow, you guys are just crushing it with the tight ends in LA right now.
I think that was a game script.
Could be, yeah.
I mean, a game plan sort of thing. Right. But nonetheless, I agree they'll probably lean toward the pass.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think they would have been, if either Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland had gotten down, they would have been a perfect fit for either of those guys in the draft because the Chargers did not have a single tight end that averaged over 10 yards per catch last season. Don't think we're getting there with Will Dissly and Tyler Conklin.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like it.
I don't think so. But anyway, thanks a lot for Johnson now. When, we drafted him in our rookie drafts and Flyers on him, and now he's going to do this. And by the way, I know that there's coach speak, there's quarterback speak as well. Justin Herbert was like, he's going to have a big season after the game. Like he's, this is.
I'm really happy for the kid.
Yeah,
I do think
Harris,
you're going to have to, it's going to be the seesaw
Yeah.
for Quentin Johnson.
Yeah, but anyway, the point being, McConkey year 2, Trey Harris drafted round 2. They bring back Keenan Allen, and now Johnson's going to go off.
I don't want that to happen.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough to get consistent fantasy output. Anyway, last one for me. I have a question for you guys. Okay. What is a Raheem Sanders?
That's a great question.
I'll tell you what
is that?
Raheem Sanders
is a tiny rocket, I think is what it is.
Arkansas running back and then a South Carolina running back who went undrafted and then started the season with the Chargers and then got claimed off of waivers by the Browns.
Yeah. Well, we know that field, but
of course, everyone knows that.
I think we don't know that for the bit. Okay.
How amazing is
Why
that?
is he getting goal line touches, Mike?
Yeah. Why did he play 3 snaps and score a touchdown in this game?
Great question.
That was the whole usage there was a shocker. I will admit I thought that Jerome Ford out of the gate was a viable flex option, fringe RB2, and he was the backup. It was Dylan Sampson for sure. So the head scratcher isn't just Raheem Sanders, who, by the way, might be waived or inactive this week if Quinshon Judkins is active. It might be a week for him, but nonetheless, when he comes back, Sanders won't be a factor. We're just having a little fun here. But short-term, Dylan Sampson's the lead back. At some point, this is going to be very confusing when Judkins takes over.
I just thought about this. What a Raheem Sanders is the new name of our segment that we're going to start doing on Fridays.
Oh, there you go.
What is a Raheem Sanders?
That's perfect.
A player rostered in under 1% of leagues who scores a touchdown.
Yeah.
All right, can we at least write that down for potential use? What is a Raheem Sanders?
I like it.
I love that.
I like a good
man.
call.
I love that you came up with that, Field. What is a Raheem Sanders? I mean, good for you.
Yeah, that was all Field.
Great idea generation there by you.
Yeah, by the way, Thursday, we were talking about Tyquan Thornton or Friday night, and then we were just texting the whole time. These so many close calls, almost had a return touchdown.
Close, but no cigar.
No, but that was preseason, so it doesn't count. By the way, honorable mentions for this segment, the Jets and Steelers being offensive juggernauts, whose game is ridiculous.
Of course.
The Miami offense, of course, just like what what is going on there. And then the Saints passing game, which was an enormous amount of pass volume, much like New England, but the efficiency horrendous, and we might be dealing with that all year long.
I was going to say,
more to come on that this week.
That's going to be a theme, though, in New Orleans, right? They're just going to have to throw the ball 40-plus times a game.
They played fast,
because
too.
they're gonna
Yeah,
be
they
down.
need to change quarterbacks if they're going to do that, if that continues, because that was
I
disgusting.
don't care who the quarterback is as long as you throw the ball 40-plus times a game, probably.
Well, it didn't work out last week.
It worked out. If you got Juwan Johnson or even Chris
No
Olave.
one
Chris
started,
Olave
yeah.
had a
Olave
huge
was
right.
bad.
Olave had a million
There was like
yards.
3 yards per attempt in this game.
No, it was bad. It was bad efficiency.
It was horrendous efficiency.
Bad
yeah.
efficiency, yes. Weirdly, it almost feels like the most startable pass catcher from New Orleans is Juwan Johnson.
Yeah,
because he plays tight end.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right? He
We
played
can-
all but one offensive
Yeah,
snap last week.
I will bring this up over the next 2 days, Daniel, so we can.
I kind of like this segment
All right.
where Mike just gets pissed off about something that happened the week
I
prior.
love
It's
that.
so easy in week one because it's so.
I know, but
there's
it
so
can
many
happen for a
head-scratcher
while,
things. But
right?
Yeah, we'll bring it. I'll
Because
bring it to
in
the
week
table
like
and,
13 or 14, it might not be anything actionable. It could just be like, you freaking cost me a chance to clinch a first round bye because whatever, Sincere McCormick had more rushing attempts than Ashton Genty.
Yeah.
I keep making Sincere McCormick a member of the Raiders
Yeah,
active
that's-
roster.
he is not. It's not.
I don't even know.
Dylan
Is he on their
Lowry.
practice squad? I
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah,
He is on their practice.
Dylan Lowry.
Dylan
Yeah,
Lowry.
Zamir White's probably their insurance back.
This is
there.
going to be. I like this though as like a get off my lawn segment, or get
Yeah,
off
you know
my
what?
field
I
segment.
feel like I was
Hey.
pretty calm because it's Wednesday, but if I did this on Monday, it
You would have been
would've
Probably,
snapped.
yes.
hot.
Where's
Yeah.
that crayon at? I would have broke that in half. Oh, it's
Last
No, it's not
Someone did
gone.
bring
It's gone.
somewhere
It's
in
still.
there.
It's safe. We put it in that box over there.
Oh, you just threw it away.
Well,
All right,
wait,
good.
last
right.
random thing while we're talking about Dylan Lowry. Did you guys see in the Raiders post-game video that he was the one that broke them down? And he does like the Ray Lewis
Oh,
chant
really?
for him.
No way.
Like respect that like the 23-year-old second-year running back is the one. Like he's that entertaining as
Love
a
that.
human.
That's why he's on the squad.
Yeah.
Leadership.
All right. Let's dive into our show league update real quickly before we get into the mailbag here on Fantasy Focus.
And that brings an end to our show league update, guys. Talk to the mailbag now.
This is a tough week. I had to
I
come down to the wire. There was only one really close matchup in our league, and it was between me and Eric Moody, who right
Oh,
now is
no.
hanging out in chat.
Is Moody talking smack?
He can't because I beat him by 0.7 fantasy points.
You got him. Oh my god.
Wait, today's no.
Stat correction day.
Corrections came in today, right?
Yes.
So,
He had Justin Jefferson going on Monday Night Football, and he fell just short of the line. So Debo Samuel L. Jackson beat Team Moody. That's my team name is Debo Samuel L. Jackson.
I like it.
And so it was a really close one there. It was a lot of fun being able to check that out, although I've got Isaiah Pacheco on my squad. Don't feel super great about that anymore. How about you guys? How did your matchups? See, this is if you're watching on our screen. Eric had some tough matchups here. Getting 1.8 from A.J. Brown, not great. Getting 6.8 from Bo Nix, that was not great. Steelers defense did not do what he had hoped for.
This is victory scoring. So you
For
were
what it's
the
worth,
lucky winner of the week, Daniel?
but I lost. And I did all that with getting a 0 from Xavier Worthy, by the way.
Wait,
I had
let's
a
show the
goose egg
standing.
in my
Actually,
lineup.
I didn't even look at this. Let's show the standings.
Well, I didn't look
please.
at the standings, but I'm in
Please.
first place.
Oh,
I'm
what did
Mike
you?
Clay.
What? Let's see.
I gotta show off while I can. Still, do we have the standings?
Yeah, we'll throw the
Stop the
standings up
count!
there in just a minute.
Wow, I scored 14 more or 18 more points than anyone else.
Wow.
You know, first place.
We
We
do
have a
this-
screen grab of Mike's.
Of his squad, we don't need to see
got
it.
Kyler Irving or Bucky Irving, Bijan, Flowers, McConkey, Myers, McMillan, Laporta.
Flowers went off. Yeah,
I
that
picked
helps
up
you a lot.
Penix. I have Samson. Actually, Samson and Stevenson on my.
My
bench.
God,
So I
I'm in
got a
dead
pretty
last
solid.
place. What the hell?
Yeah, 0-2. That's not great. 34% chance to make the playoffs.
That's
You know what
too
I did
low.
on this in this league on waivers last night? I added. This is the guy we have ranked low. He's still kind of buried a little bit. Added Michael Penix Jr. as a flyer, just
like
because he did run a little bit.
He
Had the
did.
touchdown.
Yep.
He looked good.
looked
Like
good.
he could be a breakout player this season, and he's still flying under the radar a little bit. So I think he's a bench hold. So I'm actually carrying 3 quarterbacks just for fun for now, to see how it works out. But good
How
start.
is this possible that 2 years ago I win this league, so 2023, and then last year,
You're
remember
gonna do
I-
it again. You're gonna win again.
No, I started. Remember last year I started 0-8,
You were awful.
and then I made a charge, and like I missed the playoffs in the last week.
You were right there on the
No,
doorstep.
so I go from the mountaintop to the like
to the valley.
to hell.
Yeah, that's what it is.
By the way, this is a bit of a throwback here to a couple weeks ago, but when we drafted this league, they put our teams, the 3 of our teams, next to each other on social to like say, people vote with the best team.
the
Yeah.
They
Tedero
forgot
McMillan.
to put McMillan on my
Yeah,
team.
I saw
and I
that.
just want to say, like, I lost a vote, obviously, because I was missing like my 5th round pick, but I was still getting some votes. So
Were ya?
people knew this was a good team.
People knew.
even without McMillan, and now obviously with McMillan dominating the league out of the gate. So
I just want to explain. So those that were watching at home, if you look at the standings, you'll see that Mike is 2-0 after week 1. That's because we utilize victory points. So you get a win, obviously, for winning your matchup like you normally do. And then the way we use victory points is the top half of the league with the highest scores will also get a win. It helps to be able to kind of level the playing field of the best teams, making sure that they move on. Because
I remember now what happened to me. I went Brian Thomas Jr., Nico Collins to
That'll
start.
do it.
So
that was
yeah,
tough.
yeah.
That was a tough
that'll do
one.
it.
All right, plenty of time. You'll bounce back this week.
Yep. So right now we're in a great spot. We got 4 teams that are 2-0, 4 teams that are 1-1, and 4 teams that are 0-2. So
That checks out.
after week 1, we'll see where things land. Mike, what do you have as my playoff percentage? It looks like I'm a 45% chance to make the playoffs. I think that's too low as well. Why do you hate me?
You know why?
All right, that's fair. Who is the best team name out of all those, do you think?
Probably me. Mine's called Mike Clay.
Mike, yours is Miller,
Miller
like
like
Mike.
Mike.
Please stop it.
My
All right,
nicknames on the show.
let's dive in. I don't like Micah as a
My beat.
Packer. I don't know who that is. Jamar Geddon? Jamara Geddon? Is that what it is? Jamara Geddon? I think that's a good team.
Armageddon, sure.
I like that one. All right, let's dive into some some questions here from our YouTube chat. We'll dive into
we
that.
Got a lot of good punishments.
We got a lot of
We'll
punishments.
get to that later this week.
Yes,
I like
we
them.
do.
You guys are great out there.
Yeah, you guys sent over a lot of good ones. And don't stop. We need punishments all year long. So,
Yeah, we
yeah,
do.
feel
Yeah.
free to keep them
Fire
coming.
away, baby.
We will
For
pick
the
the
punishments
best
we need.
18, 17 of them.
Yeah.
So
I can't wait to be able to unveil tomorrow what we're going to do with Miller Lite Mike. However, this first question comes from Brandon Jackson says,
Yes.
Would you guys trade away Kenneth
Yes.
Walker for DeAndre Swift straight up?
Yes.
I think you have to right now. I mean, they weren't
even a
terribly
question.
far off in terms of value coming into the season, and Swift looked Swift
Yes.
in that game. See
Nailed
what I
it.
did there.
He played
Yeah,
a ton.
looked good.
Yes.
Played a ton.
Not
looked
even a
good.
question.
And Walker might be 1B all year long.
Yes.
It's very possible.
Yep. You
Might
were-
not be, but might be.
Begging for that trade that I suggested earlier if you have Kenneth Walker.
If you have Kenneth
My answer
Walker.
is yes, Brandon.
Yeah.
It's just a hard one to, like we talked about. It's so frustrating.
Emotional
Walker's
detachment.
So good.
Mike. You
Walker
can
is-
graduate to this level. Emotional
yeah.
detachment.
Yeah, I know. No, I get it. I just Walker
proud of
is when he's healthy. He is really. He's one of them guys. I remember talking about him last year.
One of them
He is
guys.
A difference
Mike
maker.
Clay is him.
One of
Like
them
you were
guys.
talking about Brees
Yeah.
Hall.
Yeah.
Like he is a difference maker.
I agree
It
on-
just
I
hasn't.
just-
It's not happening.
One of them
That's
guys
it.
are one of my favorite Mike Clayisms.
Is that right?
One
Yeah.
of them guys.
Right.
Yeah.
One of them guys.
He's one of them guys. Next question we have from our YouTube chat comes from Clutch Collects.
Another easy one.
Dak or Caleb rest of season?
Caleb, come on. Dak was horrendous in week 1.
A lot of upside there for Caleb Williams with the running. My goodness
Yeah,
gracious.
exactly. That's
And
not
like,
going away.
so like some of it's going to be designed.
Yep.
He also is just a very good scrambler. Like, he's a superb athlete.
Yeah.
Not Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson level, but he's a great athlete for a
Yeah.
quarterback.
Speaking
Great
of,
athlete.
by the way, speaking of like somewhat frustrating things in week 1, and maybe this is me now being 40 and getting old, but like,
Oh,
and by the way,
man.
I love quarterbacks that are multi-dimensional, can run the ball. It's exciting, right? But also, how many times did someone drop back, stand in the pocket, and throw a pass in that Vikings-Bears game? Like, not at all.
Never.
It like just was not happening. The first half, they never did. They would just wait, and then scramble.
Yeah.
Like every time. And I was like, man, you kind of miss a little bit the Drew Brees, like just drop back and make a pristine throw. Like
I'll tell you
there
what,
was
just watch some
nothing
Lions
Manning,
games because
Brady,
my
like,
guy doesn't scramble out of the
that's it,
pocket.
yeah,
So
well, that didn't go well.
maybe you should. Hey, I did not need any of that. Oh, I'm sorry. I hope I didn't spit on you there, Mike. My fault.
Whoa. Hey,
Bad.
I was, no comment on that.
Wow.
Sorry.
Yeah, I know. That got
I
Mike
don't
very
like
fired
Little
up.
vitriol.
Speaking of stuff that, yeah. I kept it to football in the segment, but that was
I did
that was
too.
the most,
Oh, well.
that was the most infuriating thing of week 1 was
Yeah.
Jalen Carter for sure. Anyway,
Tell me about it. All right. Next question. Another question we have from our YouTube chat. This comes from Scott Colburn. Wants to know Ricky
Boxing.
Pearsall, Keenan Allen, or J.K. Dobbins in the flex
So
this
I think
week.
there's a clear answer. But I also want to say these are 3 good options. It's Ricky Pearsall for me, especially with
I agree.
now, if Mac Jones plays, how much of a downgrade would it be?
No, he'd be the Brian Thomas Jr. of this offense. I mean, if Mac Jones plays, we're Ricky Pearsall to the moon.
Yeah.
But to me,
Good call.
it's still Ricky Pearsall.
I agree.
But
that's
those are all good
Pearsall.
options. Like Keenan Allen, we talked about him earlier, good value. And for now, J.K. Dobbins, the man in that backfield.
he
For
was.
yeah, and we like the matchup here, the secondary. I mean, the Saints, we're fine against receivers in week 1, but that's a secondary we expect to be able to exploit throughout the season. So
And I trust
I'm going Pearsall. And by the way, at some point you would expect more RJ Harvey. And by the way, speaking of annoying players, all due respect to him, Tyler Beatty, come on. What do you have, 4 targets in this game?
Don't need it.
No, stop
Isn't
it.
it Bidet
Stop
now
it,
or
Sean
something?
Bean. What?
Biddy. But is it Biddy?
Bidet. I just remember
Oh,
that.
but yeah, it is Bidet. Yeah, it's not Beatty, right?
Yeah,
it's Bidet,
like I
you're right.
remember. So on Fantasy Football Now, our producer is Addison Walton, who's excellent at his job, and he is also a Missouri grad. And so we were talking about Beatty last year, who went to Missouri, and he was like, "Hey, yeah, it's actually Tyler Beatty," and I was like, "Oh, like on the game broadcast last week, they're calling him Bidet, and the game broadcasts are usually buttoned up, right? Like this is the part of their job that's integral to it." And I think he's like pivoted. I think he went by Beatty in college and now is Bidet.
Over to Bidet.
That happens
Bidet,
sometimes.
yes.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of bidet, why don't you head on over to trophysmack.com? Maybe you can get a bidet over there for somebody from your. We got a toilet seat right behind us.
That one needs one.
Use the
One of our
promo code
punishments for the
Focus10.
show for when you lose start of the week is to wear that for 20 minutes on the show.
I don't
How
like.
heavy is that thing?
I
Is
don't.
that an actual
It's
toilet?
pretty heavy.
It's I feel it's
Like,
heavy
actually,
enough.
I would actually invite that today. So give me a little.
Yeah, like a little neck
little
thing.
pull. I need like a chiropractor.
All right, we got one more question here from our YouTube chat. This question comes from really, Nelson?
Oh,
Isaiah Pacheco, Nick Chubb, or Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt?
I think it's pretty obvious here. It's not that this guy is going to be ranked way ahead of the other two, but it's which of these three players do we think has the best chance to score 14 points in a game? The answer is JCM. Bill.
I have a close.
It's
I
close,
actually
but-
have JCM third based on his usage
Who
in
you
this
playing?
game. They are playing the.
Who are you
Packers.
playing? The
Oh,
Packers
who am I
on
playing?
Thursday
I
night.
have Chubb and then Pacheco and then Krosky-Merritt. Chubb did play a lot of snaps, ran pretty well, had a lot of carries, and also the Bucs did not stop the run very well in week 1. He could score too. I mean, if he gets a goal line carry, he can get it. I mean, we expect the Houston offense to be better.
I hate to say that. I don't want to say that about
I know,
Nick
it
Chubb,
sounds
but like right now, I just like if that's the way it feels. If I have to put Nick Chubb in my starting lineup, I feel like my body makes the noise. Ugh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the answer is none. I mean, obviously, we don't want to start any of these guys, but I think they're all pretty close in our ranking.
Green Bay's got a really stout defensive front too. I mean, that's the hard part with Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt.
Yeah, and he didn't play a lot. He got the touchdown, otherwise it would have been single digits. I don't know if we're going to count it as a touchdown each and every week in this game. He needs more of a role.
If I had to pick one, I'd probably pick JCM.
Fair enough.
Same. Yeah, upside play. I like upside guys.
I think that's what it is for me. I just don't. Nick Chubb might have the best chance of like falling across the goal line, but I think that's basically. I mean, he's touchdown dependent, right?
I
So
thought he looked fine.
I like
I thought it
big
looked
upside,
fine.
and I cannot lie.
Big upside. All
that's
right.
going to do it for today's show. I'm going to leave it there.
What a way to finish.
That's right.
Later.
Make sure you come back tomorrow for our Thursday Night Football preview. We love you guys. Don't forget to love each other, and we'll see you tomorrow.